Good morning, everyone. This is your producer, Kirk Nugent. We're just giving Dawn a few minutes to get set, get everything settled. He is connecting in right now, but we wanted to make sure that we still went live. Don, how are you this morning, man? Okay. We are excited about the show for today. Investors, I says, focus on interest costs, not rate. And I see we have a few people in the comments already. We're excited about that. Strategic Secret says, good morning. Ready for some more knowledge today. And they even use the fire emoji. We want to thank you for being here. We're going to get started here in just a second. We see there's a couple of people watching online. Let us know where you're watching from and some of the things that you would like to hear today from the show. Also, if you have any questions, we want to encourage you to get those in there as soon as possible. One thing that Don likes to do is to make sure he answers those questions. He likes to really tailor the structure of the show around your questions, because those questions, if you have them, other people have them too. And it is a proven fact that when you ask that question, you kind of set yourself up in a spot where not only are people able to get their questions answered, but they'll be able to hear the perspectives and the ideas and the methods that others are using related to finances as well. We all do it. This is a part of life. Finance, handling money. It's a part of life. So this is a great space for you guys to be able to do that in, and we are going to have it rolling here in just a moment. I see Roger Farmer. Thank you so much for your comment. Roger Farmer is in the comments. We have a few more of you in the comments as well. We want to encourage you guys, if you can, to come through and comment. And I don't know if we've got Clubhouse connected yet, but if we do, I want to say good morning to you as well. This is Kirk Nugent, your producer for the show, The P.I.L.L Method, a better way to eliminate debt. And our host, Dr. Reverend Bishop Don Daniel, is here, and he's ready to go. I can see him setting up in the background. Once he gives me the nod, I'm going to bring him on. But okay, he's giving me the thumbs up, so I'm going to bring him on, man. Don, how are you this morning, man?
Man, I tell you what, I'm a little under the weather.
Yeah.
We've been dealing with the flu the last few days, and so I was a little slow moving this morning, but it was just the subject this morning is just too important to let go and just put up a replay. It was just too important. So we did what we could, took a little cough medicine, and hopefully I can get through this without too much coughing today. But
hey,
man,
listen.
Yes, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, look, the value you have to share, we know is worth, a cough or two here or there. But in addition to that, I just want to commend you, Don, for your commitment, always being willing to share and even, pushing through the tough stuff. As you know, Don, I'm actually traveling, so I'm not in my home setup, not in my home studio. Not even where I can turn on my camera, but I'm always excited to hear what you have to say. And again, kudos to you for pushing through the bad feeling to be able to kind of share with us this morning. And we hope that you can head home and get some rest after this is done.
Most definitely. Good morning, everyone. My name is Don Daniel, founder of P.I.L.L Method International, a better way to eliminate debt. And I want to tell you right now, if you are satisfied with the way you are handling your debt right now, if you're okay with how you're returning the money that you borrowed from the bank, then this show and this series is not necessarily for you. This show and this series is for people who are looking for a different or better way to handle debt at a much better cost and so that they can be more efficient. I am not trying to convert anyone over to our way of thinking. That could be the furthest thing from the truth. We're not doing that. What we are doing is looking for those who are looking for us, who are looking for a different or better way. Because you'd be surprised at the number of people who come to me and say, Don, my grandparents still have a mortgage, and my parents have a mortgage, and we're getting married, and we're getting ready to get this house. We don't want to be in this house 30 or 40 or even 50 years later. And folks, this is what's happening. 9 out of 10 people, will never pay off a mortgage based on the current information that we have. So if you want to do things a better way, our average client pays off all of their debt in an average of 7 to 9 years. If you want to do things in a better way, then this is the place to be to learn how to do it and what's up. So if you're here in Clubhouse right now, thank you so very much for being here. Why don't you, if you want to come to the stage and listen from the stage, you don't even have to say anything. Just come to the stage, just raise your hand and listen from the stage. But if you have a question or comment, I would love to hear it this morning. So Stacy comes up. Listen, I've seen Stacy in here before, so invite Stacy up. All right. So Miss Stacy, how are you doing?
I'm great, thank you.
You're so listen, do you have a question or comment this morning, or do you just want to hang out on the stage?
I'm hanging out right now. If I have any questions, I'm surely going to ask.
Listen, please do. And
I just want to participate because I know that people recognize people when they're in the room on a regular basis, and they tend to, give favor to people who participate on a regular basis. So here I am.
There you go. That is so true. Thank you for being here. And we've got Delvin in here. Delvin, how are you this morning?
I'm doing great, Don. How you doing today?
Excellent.
A little under the weather.
Oh man, we're dealing with it. We're going to be dealing with it. We're going to be the information is going to be just as powerful. Okay, so if I sound a little nasal, just pray for the brother. That's all I got to say. So, do you have a question or comment?
Yeah, I do have a question. I've just ran across this term, I guess, recasting your mortgage. I was wondering if you can kind of go through that. I mean, I'm in the process of picking up another investment property, so I'm going to execute the strategy of putting down as less possible, and then once I get into the loan, put what I would put down for a down payment on the principal. So do I have to have the loan recast at that point, or kind of explain how that works?
All right. Well, let's talk about recasting a loan. And so what I'm going to do is bring up we're going to define it. Recast a loan. So we I don't know, for some reason, things that we could actually look up, we don't. So let's see if we can do that. Recast a loan. What is the meaning of it? I'm going to share this screen with you, and we're going to look at this thing together. Okay. So we're going to share the screen and put this up here. Let's see. Share screen, entire screen, and we want to share the screen here. There you go. All right. So a mortgage recast is when you make a lump sum payment toward the principal balance of your loan. Your lender will then re-amortize your mortgage with a new lower balance. The idea is that that you can lower your monthly payments since your principal went down, but your interest rate and term remain the same. So when you can recast the loan, that means they can take that loan now and re-amortize it. Okay. Re-amortize it means let's say you have a 30-year loan, all right, and you prepay the loan, and now you have a 25-year loan. You can actually recast the loan for a 25-year amortization now, and now have a smaller payment. That's what recasting means. Okay. So Canadians every 5 years have to recast their loans. Now, and most Canadian mortgages are for 25 years. Now, every time they get that, they have to recast every 5 years. But here's the thing. You can recast for a 20-year, or you can do it for another 25-year period if you want. I don't see why people do that, but they can. That's what recasting the loan is. It's not necessarily a refinance. How's that, Delvin?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now, you was talking in terms of making a down payment. What did you mean by that?
Well, instead of putting say 20% down or a larger down payment, put down a smaller down payment. Then within that first month, I will put what I would have put down on the principal.
There you go. There you
as
go.
you teach.
Exactly, man. Exactly. So here's the thing, Delvin. You do not want to guess at what to do. There is putting too little money on, and there is putting too much money on. And that break even point we call CPA, or critical point analysis. I'm going to bring that up on the screen. And if you're on YouTube, you can see this. If you want to see what we're doing, go to YouTube on a secondary device, and you can go then search YouTube for P.I.L.L method, and you can see what I'm putting up. So we're going to put up critical point analysis. Critical point analysis. Critical point analysis. All right. The critical point analysis, here it is, the critical point analysis description, a project management technique that lays out all the activities needed to complete a task, the time it will take to complete each activity, and the relationships between the activities. All right. So how do you analyze critical points? What is the critical point and why is it important? Here we go. The critical point is the highest temperature or pressure at which a pure material can exist in vapor liquid equilibrium. So this critical point has to do with a lot of things. All right. What is a critical point formula? What is a critical point focus? A critical point mathematics. Let's look at this one. This will help us. Critical point is a wide term with many branches in mathematics. When dealing with functions, let's find something more that is not so hard to understand. Okay, the critical point really is when it talks about that when a liquid turns to a vapor or a gas. Okay, what is the highest temperature that a liquid can stay liquid before it turns into a vapor or gas? Okay, so if you have a liquid and it's below that point, it stays a liquid. And you find that particular point when it is no longer a liquid, it turns to a gas. That's when that temperature has reached that point, which turns it into a gas or a vapor. When it comes to your money, there's a point at which when you are investing, there's a point at which when you put enough money into something, you're going to get a greater return on your money. There's a point at which putting more money in than that actually reduces the amount of return per dollar. So when you're putting down your down payment, you want to make sure for you, it's going to be different for everybody. For you, you want to make sure you're putting down the right amount at the right time, not too little and not too much. Now, you can sit down with spreadsheets, calculators, and all sorts of tools to try to figure this out. Or you can get the P.I.L.L method, opportunity cost calculator, and work with a coach and find it out in as little as 3 minutes, because it's already set up to find the critical point in a lot of these areas. The math has already been programmed in, and all you have to do is follow it. It saves a lot of time and saves a lot of money. Folks, when you're dealing with your money, you want to make the biggest bang for every buck that you have. And I'm telling you right now, with the information that we have available to us, we are very inefficient when it comes to our money, especially real estate investors. So I'm going to be talking about that today, why we need to be more efficient. So let's say good morning to all those who are online with us this morning. We have Horace Jennings, who says good morning. He's on YouTube. We have Dennis Glebe, and he's saying good morning today from Elk Grove, California. And Roger Farmer saying good morning. We have Strategic Secrets in here saying good morning. Good morning, everybody. And we have somebody named Mr. Mark Richard, and he's selling something. Listen, folks, I'm going to read this. What he has put in my, and they come in and then they dip out. So I'm going to read it. It says, don't depend on your salary only. If you have a computer or smartphones, you can start earning $3,400 with an investment of $200 in 3 days of trading. How about that, folks? I don't believe that for a minute. Without sending money to anyone or your trading account, send me a DM here and send me a text. No, we're not going to do that, Mr. Richard. So what we are going to do is we're going to block you from coming to this room. All right. So we're going to block them. All right. And then get rid of this. So we don't go for that. All right. Get rich quick. All right. We don't go for that. Eric Toombs, how are you doing, sir? Good morning to you. Good morning to you. And he's here in Clubhouse. All right. So I got Tammy. Good morning, Tammy. What's going on with you?
Good morning. How you doing? I'll be quiet for like maybe 30 minutes. I have to recertify, so I'm on the gun range. So I'll be off the gun range in like maybe 30 minutes or so, and then I can talk.
Sounds good, Miss Tammy. Thank you
I can't hear everything you saying. You just won't be able to hear me because of all the gunshots in the back.
Listen.
Nobody's being harmed. Nobody's being harmed. I'm just recertifying. That's all.
No people are being harmed. No animals are being misused.
No animals. No human targets. Only a silhouette.
Excellent. All right. So we're inviting Steve up to the stage. Steve, come on up. All right, Steve, how are you doing this morning?
I'm great. Yourself?
Excellent. Well, I'm going to say I'm excellent this morning. I'm getting over the flu, but listen, I am going to claim feeling good. I am good. Listen, I'm excited about being here, and I'm not going to give in to anything negative today. I'm only going to speak positive words today. How are you doing, Steve?
Oh yeah, I'm great. Just cleaning, doing my usual, and wanted to come up and say hi to everybody. Thanks for having me on the platform and populate the room. Get some people in here.
Listen, let's get some people in, folks. Let's get some people in. Anybody else that wants to listen from the stage, go right ahead. All right. So what we're going to do now is let's talk about right now what it takes to optimize your money when it comes to lending, because we're going to get into what we're currently doing and why it is so devastating when we don't understand it. But I'm going to start here with getting a savings and earnings report. When you get a savings and earnings report, let me put my link to the top of the page. Getting a savings and earnings report will allow you to use some of our technology. All right. And let me see, pin the link. It is ICE 10K.com. All right, ice10k.com. There we go. And so there we are. So when you click on that link, you'll be able to see another button that says get a savings and earnings report. Find out how much interest you can save and how fast you can acquire your equity. We're going to talk about that in a minute. get your equity faster and cheaper, increase your profits, increase your net worth by lowering the cost of borrowing money to the dirt. That's what we're talking about today. All right. There is a equilibrium between making money and saving money. You want to use your money to do both. Save on interest costs for borrowing it, but then take a certain percentage of your money and invest it to make more money. All right. As you're living a great lifestyle. And we're going to talk about why that is today. Once you get that done, then our staff will contact you by following all the directions, and you're filling out that financial form. Our staff will contact you, then verify your financial information and set up a consultation. Then you will know how much money you can save, how fast you can get your equity or get the loans paid off, and track the interest savings so that you can invest those monies to get more interest back, to earn more interest with that money than you've ever paid in life. How would you like to get back every single dime of interest you've ever paid? Isn't that something? By saving interest that you don't have to pay and reinvesting that money, you can get back every dime of interest you've ever paid in life and then some when you know what you're doing. This is what we're talking about this morning. Okay, folks, let's go ahead and start breaking some of this down. So why do real estate investors need to focus on interest cost instead of interest rate? Let's take a look at a typical loan. Let's break it down to its component parts and let's see what we're doing and what we should not do. Here's some things that you need to be aware of. We're going to put on an amortization schedule right now, okay? And with that amortization schedule, I'm putting on $350,000. Okay, let's see. 350 at 6%. And now we're looking at refinancing this loan. It's at 6% now. Okay. Let's just say we have this loan for 5 years. We're going to look at 5 years. That's 60 months in. First thing you've got to see is on this loan. And if you're new to the room, come and watch all of this on YouTube. All right. 5 years in, you've paid this loan down by $24,309.93. Look how much interest you've paid already. $101,595.87. That's the first thing that we look at, whether you're a home buyer or a real estate investor. This type of thing going on. In 5 years, this loan has been paid down. I don't care how much you're cash flowing. You could be cash flowing $1,000 a month on this deal. Okay? Because here's what we're talking about. What if this is a multifamily? And the payment on this is $2,098.43, but you're cash flowing $6,000 a month. Well, that is pretty doggone good. So if we put up our calculator here, let me bring it over to this screen. Okay, we got our calculator. This is a multifamily property. We're cash flowing $6,000. We're bringing in rents of $6,000, and we subtract out what we're paying, $2,098.43. Okay, that's $3,900. $3,900 cash flow a month on this deal. Okay, and we're looking at that. Okay, times 12. Okay, $46,818. Pretty good money on the front end of this loan. All right, but What's really going on here behind the scenes? The real estate investors are looking at this, but here's what they're not looking at. In 60 months, the money that my renter gave me to pay the loan with, 24,000 of it went to building more equity. $101,595.87 of the money my renters gave me paid the bank interest on this loan. If that's listen, we have to stop just looking at the money we're making on the front end and be okay. Excuse me now. We have to stop being okay with paying $101,000 to get $24,000 in equity. In other words, this is almost $126,000 that my tenants gave me. And out of that money, I used $101,000 of it to pay interest. And I want to hear from you right now. When we break it down this way, should real estate investors be okay with receiving $126,000 from their tenants, but giving away $101,000 of those dollars in the first 5 years just in interest alone? I need to hear from you. Is this okay? Because we can get so focused on the $46,000 we're making a year and completely lose focus here. So I need to hear from you. I put it in the chat or open up your mic, say something online, raise your hand, come on up, or put it in the chat. Are you okay with giving away $101,000 of your dollars to interest?
No, that's not okay.
That's not okay. Who said that?
This is Delvin.
Okay, Delvin. All right. So Horace Jennings says, no, it's definitely not okay. Definitely not okay. Can I break down the percentages for you here? All right, let's break down the percentages. Okay. So we got $101,000 in interest paid out. $101,000 in interest paid out. Let me put it in. 101. Click the wrong button. $101,595.87. Okay, plus the amount of principal that was paid. Okay, $24,309.93. Okay. All right. So we're going to add that together and we come up with $125,905. Okay. Let me put that as in my notes. All right. $125,905.80. So we take the $101,000 of interest, 101,595.87, and divide it by the total amount paid, which is, we're going to divide it by 125,905.80 equals 81% of all the money that this real estate investor is bringing in, even though they're cash flowing $3,000 or $4,000 a month. All right, and feeling good about that. All the money that the tenants gave them, 80% of it went up in smoke. Man, how do we get to the point where we're justifying? Now, behavioral economists call this mental accounting, and that there's another term for it called house money. Now, when people give us money for the rent, we tend to treat that differently from monies that we've actually earned and have in the bank. Okay? We have been told that your tenant is paying the mortgage, so don't worry about it. Just worry about the $6,000 you're bringing in, and the fact that you're only paying $2,098 for the mortgage. All right. So your tenant is paying the mortgage, but out of that $2,098 every month, over 80% of that money, out of the $2,098, over 80% of that money is going up in smoke. Here's what's happening. When you borrow money, ladies and gentlemen, when you borrowing money to buy a house, the bank owns most of your equity. The bank owns most of your equity, and I've got no problem with that. In fact, I love using the bank to purchase that equity for me so that I can get into a situation where I'm cash flowing. Okay? That's number one. So I'm not anti-bank. What I am is pro-education. So when you have an opportunity to borrow money from the bank and then use that money and to set you up so that you can that you can bring in $6,000 in rent and only pay out $2,098.43. Well, that's pretty good. Okay, I love that. So here's the other thing you need to think about. When you're making all that money, when your tenants pay their rent, they're giving that money to you or to your business entity. All of the money that they gave you is yours. Stop looking at it as something else. Stop looking at it as the tenant is paying the mortgage. No, you are paying the mortgage out of the money that the tenants gave you. It comes to you first. All of it is yours. Every single dime of it is yours. And now you're using it to pay the mortgage. So as you're using it to pay your mortgage, 80% of that money is going up in smoke. Here's how you're buying your equity back. The bank bought your equity, okay? And here's how you're buying it back. Take a look at, listen, if you're new to the room, please go to YouTube and see this. And this is how everybody should be looking at this. I'm buying my equity back at $348 a month here, $350, somewhere in the 300s. I'm buying my equity back from the bank every single month. Somewhere I'm paying in the first year, I'm paying between $348 a month to $368 a month. In the first 5 years, in the first 5 years, okay, it goes from $348 a month to $467 a month. Every time I make a payment like this, a very small payment towards my equity, look how much money I'm giving the bank in order to buy $348 worth of equity. It's costing me $1,700 of my hard-earned money. The next month, it goes down. It costs me $1,748 to purchase $350. In the first year, it cost me $20,000 of the money that I took in to buy $4,289.07 of my equity back. Of the money that my tenants gave me, I spent $20,883 of that in interest so that I could do that. Folks, listen, if you're on the stage this morning in Clubhouse and you want to come to the stage and listen, please do. Come to the stage and just listen. You don't have to say anything. Just raise your hand, come to the stage, and you can listen from the stage. When you do that, you're actually encouraging other people to come in. But if you also have something to say, about what we're talking about, a question or a comment on what we're talking about, please, we would love it for you to enter the conversation. Okay? So raise your hand, come to the stage, and let's talk about it. Okay? Or just come to the stage and just sit there and encourage other people to come in. And listen, while you're here, go ahead. Okay, Miss Erica, let's bring you up. And while you're here, everybody, go ahead and share the room as well and ping some people in. So let me see if I can get Miss Erica to come on up. She says, no, thanks. She's going to come up later. That's all right. Miss Erica, you don't have to say anything. You can just sit on the stage. Okay. You can just sit on the stage and just listen from there. There you go. There you go. All right. She gets it now. You don't have to say a thing. I'm going to invite her to stay on the stage and listen from there. All right. Very good. And Miss Erica, if you do want to say something, just hit that microphone and just jump right on in. Is that okay? Okay. So anybody else want to follow Miss Erica's lead and listen from the stage? You see, Miss Erica has 34 followers, and her 34 followers just got notified that she's on this stage, and they may want to come in and see what she's listening to, and they can get blessed as well. All right. All right. So there she says, sounds good. And thank you. All right. Excellent. All right, folks, here's what we're talking about now. Let's get back into this story. Let's get back what's going on. All right. We're talking about the fact that 80% of your money is going out up in smoke, and we should look for ways to make borrowing money more efficient. Now, this is a very inefficient way of looking at borrowing money. In fact, if 80% of your money is going up in smoke, and you're using the bank's money, all right, to leverage it so that you can cash flow on the front end, that's fine, all right? Your tenants are giving you the money to pay the mortgage, and you feel as if, since I'm not using any of the money that I have over here to pay the, that you have saved up to pay the mortgage, it feels like you're not paying the mortgage. And we're being told we're not paying it. But in fact, when your tenants give you that money, that's your money. And you're using part of your money to pay the mortgage. And right now, doing it this way, it is the most inefficient way to pay back money on planet Earth. And it started in 1934. It started in 1934. Borrowing money this way and giving away 80% of it just so that you can make money on the front end. We need to figure out how we can continue to make money on the front end and not give the bank all of that interest at the same time. Now, if anybody is interested in learning some more about how the bank is making their money over the last 89 years, all right? Over the last 89 years, here is what is going on. We have not been educated as to how this system actually works. We're okay with the fact that we can borrow money, pay it back, and continue to live, and continue to buy food, continue to purchase shelter, continue to go on vacation, continue to keep our kids in school. We're okay with, because we're able to do that. But what we have been, we're focusing in the wrong place. We're only focusing on what we can do if we keep the current situation in place. Because we're keeping the current situation in place, and it's not keeping us from buying food. It's not keeping us from keeping the electricity on. It's not keeping us from going on vacation. It's not keeping us from buying the car that we want. It's not keeping us from to do the things that we want to do in life. Our current situation is not keeping us from doing all of that. But here's something you need to know. any money that you're paying out that you don't need to pay cannot be invested. So every single dime that you give the bank that you don't have to give really means you can't invest that money for yourself. And any money that you could have earned that you didn't earn should be looked at as a loss. And we've been going through our entire lives looking at interest payments as the cost of doing business. Interest payments as, I read something today. I read something to prepare for this show, that because the banks are taking a risk, they are entitled to charge interest. And I'm in agreement with that. What I am not in agreement with is overcharging. So let's break this down to what it really, really, really means. In this case, where I have a payment, let's just take a look at the first payment on this loan. $1,700, $1,750 of my very first payment is interest. If I divide that by the total payment, delete, $2,098.43. That's 83% of my money went to interest. If I break it down per dollar, real estate investors, if I break it down per dollar, I'm purchasing my equity back from the bank. The bank purchased the equity so that I could get into this property and make money on the front end. All right. That's been established. We're okay with that. But out of the monies that my tenants gave me, every dollar I put towards this mortgage, 83 cents of that dollar goes to interest. And I'm buying my house with 17 cents out of every dollar. I realize that the bank is investing. I realize that the bank is giving us money. I realize that the bank is taking some risk. But folks, and they should be paid for taking that risk, but should they be taking 83 cents out of every one of your dollars that you're receiving so that you could take 17 cents out of those dollars and put it on the mortgage? You tell me if that is the way this thing should go. How did we get into a situation where we say that this is okay and this has been ignored for 89 years, and the only people that are talking about it are in the P.I.L.L method? 83 cents out of every dollar. That is ridiculous. We wouldn't stand for it any other way. I need you to come up to the stage and just talk about this with me today. If this burns your butt like it burns mine, come up to the stage and talk with me about it and see what and see. We have been conditioned to think that this is okay. 83 cents out of every dollar. Listen, would you stand for it any other way? Going to the grocery store, filling up your baskets, your one basket or your two baskets with food. And now it comes time to pay for the food. And here's what I want you to do. Out of every dollar you're using to pay for the food, throw 83 cents of it away and start paying for your $200 or $300 or $400 worth of food that you have with 17 cents out of every dollar. Okay. So if we do that, we got $400 worth of food. $400 worth of food, and we divide it by 17 cents. It would take $2,352.94 of our money to buy a basket of food that costs $400 if we bought food like we buy houses? Does this make sense to you? If we bought food like we buy houses, it would take $2,352.94 of our money to buy a basket of food. Or if we bought gasoline, I'm buying $45 worth of gas to fill up my tank. $45 to fill up my tank. But if I bought gasoline like I buy my mortgage, if I take that $45 and divide it by 17 cents, it would take $264.70 to fill up my tank if we bought gas like we buy property, doing it the bank's way. I need to know right now. Do I have it right? Am I correct in my math here? That we have been conditioned that this is okay when it comes to real estate, but it's not okay when we're purchasing anything else. It's not okay. Can you see now why we need to start paying attention to how much money we are wasting on interest when we don't have to? Now, I need to share something with you to get into this a little deeper, okay? But we've been here like 49 minutes. 49 minutes. Is there anybody on the stage that has anything to say or any questions to ask, or anybody who is online wants to put something in the comments or the chat? Do you have any questions or comments about any of this? All right. Erica says, this is true on so many levels. A lack of understanding leads to wasting time and hard-earned money. You are so correct. Eric Toombs says, interest payments actually are the loss of doing business for the borrower. That is so true. Eric Farmer online says that's unreal. All right. Horace Jennings or Dennis Glebe says, REI, I agree with your strategy. Thank you so much, sir. And Horace Jennings here says, great education, Don. I appreciate that, folks. I appreciate that. So listen, keep supporting this channel. Keep sharing it with other people. All right. We need to grow this information so that people can understand what's really going on, especially real estate investors. And I'm going to keep on until people who want to do it a better way can do it a better way. So folks, if you've heard enough today, just to make you just a tiny bit uncomfortable, a tiny bit angry, and you want to do something about it, we're going to get into what to do about it in just a few minutes. But if you already know that you want to do this a better way and stop using your money so inefficiently in a way that we've been conditioned to use it, then get a savings and earnings report. If you have a mortgage, if you're a real estate investor, if you are a home buyer, a residential home buyer, get a savings and earnings report and then learn how you can cut your interest cost by 75% with your current budget, because now you're going to know the math and the strategies. Go to ice10k.com, ice10k.com, and you'll find a button that says get a savings and earnings report. Fill out all of the information, follow all of the directions, and when it comes to putting in your cell phone number to get that confirmed, leave no spaces. Make sure that there are no spaces when you put in your cell phone number, and everything will go smoothly. When you click confirm, you will then get a code to put into the website that will let you into the financial form. Now, why do we go through all of those steps? So that we can keep robots out of our system. Okay. A robot won't know that. A robot can't use the way that we have this set up. Robots don't use that. So we need to deal with real people all the time. So this is why we're using that system. So once you get that filled out, then one of my staff will give you a call and then confirm the information. And once the information is confirmed, you can set up a consultation. Our consultations are only $150. And if you don't receive $150 worth of information during the consultation, just tell me. And before I hang up the phone, you'll have the money right back in your bank. Okay. We don't want to take anything from anybody unless we're providing more value. Get this now, unless we're providing more value than you ever pay in money. We're going to provide way more value than you ever pay in money. So don't ever worry about it. And if you don't feel you're getting the value, just say so. We'll give it back. All right. So now also we're looking for people to help us to share this information. If you think this information that we're putting out is worth sharing, I'm looking for others of you to help us to get it out there. And here's what you can do. You can also click the button that says become an affiliate. Oh yeah. Become an affiliate. And once you become an affiliate, it takes about 15 seconds to fill that out. And then you become an affiliate, you share information with others, get them over to our YouTube channel, have them watch the videos and follow up with them in about 48 hours. Ask them if they want more information, and then use that same card to click the link that says at the top of the page that says, refer a friend. Refer a friend. Fill that out, send it to us. And when they become a client, we will send you $300. It can't be any easier than that. Also, last thing before we go to the next phase is a lot of this information that you need, the basics, is contained in my best-selling book on Amazon. Out of 33 million titles, there's only one book that talks about interest savings, interest cancellation, why we're paying all of this money in interest when we don't have to. And one book that shows you how to get the tools you need not to pay all of that interest. It is the P.I.L.L method, a better way to eliminate debt. And it's been a 6-time #1 bestseller on Amazon. So go ahead, get the book today. All right, folks. Let's go ahead and jump into this thing after we hear. I need to get a drink of water. Let's hear from Dr. Eric Thomas. I need that little pause for the cause so I can get a drink of water so I can continue with what we need to learn about why real estate investors need to focus on interest cost and not interest rate. Doctor, what do you have to say?
Listen to me, y'all. But one of his mentees took us through one of their programs, and I paid off my mortgage. But guess what happened? My marriage went to a whole nother level. And you know why? Because my wife is a security freak. And even when I blew up, my wife would be like, oh, you blew up, but how long is you gonna keep making this kind of money? I was like, I don't know, forever. She's like, you sure? Because I'm gonna keep my license as a nurse just in case you don't. So when I paid the house off, my boy was like, you ain't gotta do that, you can do this. But when I paid the house off using that program, it took the stress level all the way down for my wife because we no longer had a mortgage. Does that make sense? That thing that was coming every month, that was getting on her nerves, we didn't have that no more. And so she was at rest.
Did you hear that, folks? Listen, this is on point. Listen, I haven't heard from Richard in such a long time. Richard, how are you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing well, man. How you doing?
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Listen, thank you for coming into the room today.
Yeah, man, I just wanted to always come support because I feel like this is literally the best way to pay bills. I don't think I really understand. It's so underrated all the time about see, a lot of folks may think that they know how to pay bills. They do. But really what ends up happening is they're paying their bills, but they're not maximizing their dollar. You call it interest cost. I just call it, hey, we don't know how to pay our bills. And the reason why we don't know how to pay our bills is because we're paying way too much interest. I like what you do, Don, not because, you do it, but you actually prove it through the numbers. You don't just prove it through the numbers, but you prove it through common sense methods. And you even have a worksheet you can work out. You can see through the numbers that actually proves what you're saying. So you don't have to go on what he says or what I say or when anybody else says any of this stuff. You can actually look at how much money you can actually save. I mean, this is the difference sometimes between people being, a complete owner of their house or just having 7 years left, 2 years left. You can save hundreds, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars with this method. I know because I've seen the book, I've read the book. I've also looked at the numbers. So if you are a skeptic, look at the numbers. I always say never invest in anything unless it has a ROI, return of investment. Unless it can pay you back. I'm a consultant by trade, that's what I do. One of the things I do. And the only reason why I'm saying this is because if you don't invest in something, getting the red bar here though. Hope y'all can still hear me.
We got you.
I'm gonna land on this though. My point in all this is try out the system, book a consultation, and see what you can how much money you can actually save. And then go, if you have any concerns or worries or anything like that, all you have to do is look at the numbers and see if it actually makes sense so you can learn how to pay bills. There's a lot of different ways that now on the websites, on certain websites, because of what Don has done, they're trying to tell you, even the banks are trying to tell you how to pay your bills. If you look at how they're still trying to get you to say it, they don't say it in human, and I don't know if you want to call it human, in lay language, in common sense terms. But Don actually does it in common sense terms. And then he also has, because he's a man of God, he puts it in common sense terms so people can understand it. Anyways, I'm probably derailing your whole room here, but I just, I'm a big advocate for you as far as saving money, not only for you, but for the people. That's what I do on this app anyway. So I'll give it back to you, man.
Thank you very much, Richard Olson, everybody from Black Think Tank. All right. We have collaborated on many occasions in getting information out to the people. So folks, we've said that we're setting the stage for how to borrow money, but the way to pay it back is 89 years old, and we've never had a class on how the bank makes its money. Okay? When you can be convinced that it's okay to pay out 80% of your money, 73 to 80% of your money goes to interest, and you would not do it to buy gasoline or to buy food, why are we using this system to buy houses? So let me show you that there is a huge and gaping weakness in the bank system to lend us money, that we can use their system to our advantage. If you want to know how to use this current system, I mean, you don't even have to refinance your mortgage. You don't have to recast your mortgage. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to make more money. If you're interested in how this system being set up this way, if you're interested in knowing how to make this system work for you instead of against you, put a number 9 in the chat. Put a number 9 in the chat right now, or online or in Clubhouse. Put a number 9, and I'm going to go over some things that show you how you can take advantage of the percentages in here and make those percentages work for you. Come on. Come on. Keep putting those number 9s in, because I'm going to show you some things that are going to blow your socks off. Okay? Let's go ahead. And I'm going to pull up some other stuff while you're doing that. I'm going to pull up some other information so that we can understand what's going on here too. Okay. All right, Stacy. Okay, Stacy says several 9s. Okay. All right. I hear you. All right. So let's take a look at this. I'm going to break this down for percentage's sake. All right. Now, the first thing I want to show you is what happens when you, based on what you're seeing here, what happens when people refinance to try to save money? What happens when you refinance to try to save money? Okay, the interest rates will go down and we're going to refinance to save money. Most people refinance every 5 to 7 years. If we're into this loan for 5 years, look at this. We paid it down by $24,000, cost us $101,000 in interest. We've already done. So now we owe $325,690.07. So we're going to copy that. We're going to pull up a new one here, new Brett Whistle, and we're going to put that into the principal amount. Okay. And we're going to paste that. There we go. Get rid of the comma because this program doesn't like commas. All right. And we were at 6%. Let's just say that interest rates dropped a whole 2 points down to 4%. All right. But do you realize most people, now they're 5 years in, when most people get a refinance, do you realize what they're doing? They're refinancing you to a whole new 30-year loan most of the time. That's what makes the difference in the payment. That is the thing that causes the payment to go down more, is by dividing what you owe by another 360 payments. So now my new payment is $1,554.89. All right. Yeah. But that's if you get the refinance for free. The average cost of a refinance is about $10,000. So instead of $325,000 that we owe, we now owe $335,000 that we owe, because now I need you to watch this. Instead of $1,554.89, the new payment is $1,602. So the bank says, just roll the $10,000 into your mortgage. It's not going to raise your payment that much, as you can see here. Okay, it didn't raise the payment that much, but it is still lower than what we were paying before. Our old payment was $2,089, $2,098. Our new payment is $1,602.64. This is what makes our eyes big. This is what makes our mouths water when we focus on the payment and the interest rate instead of the interest cost. Now, let me show you this. It cost $10,000 that we rolled into this loan at the new low interest rate of 4%. Let me show you what 4% really means by just looking at how much we paid to get the refinance, $10,000. So if you added on $10,000 as your closing cost, don't you have to pay the $10,000 back first to get back down to your $325,000? Yeah, because now you're at $335,000, but you rolled in $10,000, so you didn't have to take it out of pocket and put it on this and borrowed money. But you're thinking I'm borrowing it at 4%. No. You're not borrowing this $10,000 at 4%. Let me show you why. Let's break it down. When you're paying back that first $10,000, you're paying back that first $10,000 with $480 payments, and it costs you $1,000 in interest each month just to pay back that $10,000. So let's scroll down to the first year. In the first year, you've only paid back $5,911 of that $10,000 that you've added on. And you've already paid $13,300 $320 interest on the $10,000 loan just to get the refinance. That's number one. By the time you paid the loan off, the $10,000 loan off, it takes about 21 months to do that, and $23,000 in interest. So your refinance actually cost in the first 2 years, not even 2 years, $33,000. That's how much the refinance cost, because you rolled in the $10,000. But nobody's looking at the interest cost of borrowing the $10,000 and rolling it into the loan. So if you borrow $100 and you pay back $100 in interest, folks, that's 100%. That's 100% interest all day long. If you borrow $10,000 from your bank, rolling it into your mortgage, and you pay $10,000 interest on that $10,000, that's 100% interest. If you're now looking at paying $20,000 interest on a $10,000 loan, that's 200% interest. And add another 30,000, add another 3,000 to it. Now we're talking about maybe 230% interest on this loan. How many of you have ever looked at it this way? How much interest you are actually paying by percentages? Over 200% interest on a loan to get a lower interest rate and a lower payment that seems to serve you now, but makes the bank more money in the long run. How many of you are tired of this kind of thing going on by not understanding what's really going on behind the scenes? How many of you are tired of that? Okay, let me look to see if anybody else is raising their hand to come up to the stage. All right, because I start looking at this screen all the time. I don't see anybody else want to come up and talk about this. All right, so let's get in here. Let's show you. If you're new to the room and you want to see what we're doing, go to YouTube so that you can watch, what we're doing. So Gersha Baptiste says, that's crazy. She says, that's crazy. She says she wants to know. She's watching us on YouTube. She wants to know how this is continuing on and nobody else is talking about it. She wants it to quit. Gersha? I'm sorry. Grisha, sorry. All right. I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. All right. She says she's ready. She's ready for something different. Listen, folks, like I said at the top of the show, if you are satisfied with what you're doing with your loans, this show is not for you. If you're dissatisfied with how your paying back these loans has been for you, if you're dissatisfied with managing your money with the current system and the current information that's out there, then this show is for you. The P.I.L.L method is for you. All right, let's see how we can make these numbers work for us. It's 9:41 Central. It is 10:41 Eastern right now. So let's go back to our original loan here, and let's see how easy it is to turn this thing around. What I'm doing here, and somebody's going to come in and ask me, is this what you should do? I'm just teaching you now how an amortization schedule actually works. Things we should have learned in the 8th grade. Okay? I am not prescribing what everybody needs to do to get out of debt faster and cheaper. We have a whole program for that tells us exactly what to do and when. All right? But you need to understand what's going on behind the scenes. When you make this very first payment of $348.43 and $1,750 goes to interest, you need to know how they're doing that and what's really happening. I get the Toya says, I get the YouTube link. So yeah, just go to YouTube go to YouTube on a second, another device, and then search P.I.L.L method in YouTube, and you will see P.I.L.L method will pop up, and go to the live and click on that. Okay, that's how you get there. All right, so Toya, I hope that helps. All right, so here's what we're talking about, folks. How do they get this $1,750 in interest? How do they get that? Okay, this is how they get it. I'm putting a calculator on the screen right now. Okay, remember, our payment is the amount of the loan is $350,000. $350,000. Okay, so we're going to figure out how they do that. They're going to take your 6% interest, 6%, that's 0.06. They divide that number by 12, and they get 0.005. They take 1/12 of the interest rate and multiply it by the unpaid balance. In this case, is the very first payment, $350,000 times $350,000 equals $1,750. Do you see that? $1,750. So they don't take 6% and multiply it by the whole 350,000. The formula, which looks like this. Let me show you this formula. Amortization formula. There it is. Looks like this. Here's the amortization formula. The amortization formula, all this formula is saying is how to take 1/12 of the interest rate, whatever the interest rate is, and multiply it by the unpaid balance. That's how much interest you owe that month. Now, there are many ways to do this. This is not the Holy Grail. There are several different ways to do this. This was invented in the 16th century. Right here. Excuse me, everybody. This was invented in the 16th century by a guy named Fibonacci. All right. Credit goddess, how are you doing this morning? All right. By Fibonacci. All right. And it has changed very little since then. Very little since then. And so in 1934, banking went to this formula to make money. Now, all they need to do to keep on pulling in 80% of your payment dollars going to interest and 20 cents of your dollars going to principal, all they need to do is for you never to understand how this works. And it's not taught in schools today. Not taught in schools. It is something so simple that 8th graders could learn, but it's not being taught. Okay? And so if it's not being taught, here's what's going on. They're taking 1/12 of that. So now we're taking, so that leaves $348.43 going to principal. That's like 17 cents out of every dollar going to principal, while 83 cents out of every dollar goes to interest. It doesn't get much better the next month, because when we subtract out $348.43 from our $350,000, we still owe $349,651.57. Get this into your heads and get it in there right now. When you allow the bank to charge you by the month, monthly, okay, every first of the month, they will take 1/12 of your interest rate and multiply it by the unpaid balance, whatever it is. And that's the interest you owe the next month. No matter what it is, no matter where you find it, that's how much you owe. What we have to do is manipulate this thing, which makes it so they can't charge us every single month they want to charge us. The way this is set up is that they get to charge you a huge amount of interest, 360 months. It gets smaller and smaller and smaller towards the end of the loan. But in the front of the loan, they get to charge you every single month rent on your money if you allow them to do it this way. And you don't have to do it this way. So in the next month, let's bring our calculator back up to prove that this is how it works. We only owe $349,651.57. Okay. So if we do it for the next month, what did we do? We took our 6%, divided it by 12, got our 0.005, and now we're going to multiply it by 349,651. Okay, 349,651.57. So we're going to multiply it by 349,651.57, and we get $1,748.25. But since this is a 7, we roll this up to a 6, 1748.26. That is exactly what we have on line 2, $1,748.26. That's what they're doing every single month. So this isn't just one mortgage, folks. It's 360 separate mortgages. Now, based on this system, based on what I just showed you, if we allow them to charge us every single month, to charge us 1/12 of the interest rate on the balance, let me show you how easily this thing can be manipulated, and you will see why it's not being taught in school. You will see why real estate agents don't even know what I'm getting ready to show you. You will see why mortgage professionals that sell loans don't understand how this works, so they can't let the cat out of the bag. You'll see why this isn't taught anywhere at any time during our financial education for any job that you are doing now. I don't care what you're doing. This hasn't been taught. Are you ready? Are you ready to learn now? It's as simple as this. This is the simplified version. This is not the optimized version. And I will give that to you one more time. I'm getting ready to show you the simplified version, but it is not the optimized version. All right. Here's what we're saying. If you make your payment in January and you make your payment in January and you're all done, if you wait till February, then the bank will use this number, the $349,000. What $349,651.57 will use that number to calculate your interest cost for the month of February, and you'll come up with $1,748.26. But if you make your payment in January and you take a look at this $350 they want from you in February, what if you were to prepay that? What if you were to give that money to the bank in January? Do you realize no interest comes out of this money? You're paid down to line 2 already in January. And now the bank has to take 1/12 of your interest rate and multiply it by the $349,301 that they see on line 2 and give you the payment on line 3. So for $350.17, you wipe out line 2 altogether. It's gone if you pay it early. And the $1,748.26 they wanted to charge you in interest on line 2, it's gone as well. You just eliminated $1,748.26 because you didn't let them charge you according to their timing. You chose when to give the money back. Oh my goodness. I'm going to let that marinate for a little bit while we say hello to Miss Credit Goddess this morning. Credit Goddess, how are you this morning?
I'm doing better. How are you, Don?
Well, I'm still dealing. I'm trying to, and I was in Washington, D.C. last week, and something followed me back home. So I'm trying to kick it out of my house.
Oh, no. no. Oh, no. Well, I hope you feel better.
Listen, I hope I feel better too. But how, were you under the weather as well?
No, no.
Okay.
I was caring for my mom. She had eye surgery on both eyes.
Okay.
So I had to take care of her. And me running a business and taking care of family, I can't balance the two. You know how people say you need to have that work-life balance thingy. I can't do that. It's like I have to put 100% on one or 100% on the other. So I took 100% to take care of my mom the past month and a half. So yeah, that's why I haven't been around, but I'm back. I'm here.
Excellent, excellent. I'm glad you're back. Dwayne Johnson, how are you doing, sir?
God bless you. God bless you. Well, good morning. Good morning. I just heard you talking. I was wondering, is it possible, do you have a screen up where you can show the actual numbers that I can jump onto? Because I've heard this before, but I think you're doing an even more splendid job of explaining it. And I was wondering if there's any way to connect visually.
Yes, there is. It's up on YouTube,
Okay.
Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn right now. So you can go.
Oh, shoot. Sorry.
you can go to on a separate device or another phone or tablet or something, and just go to YouTube and search
And where on YouTube?
Search P.I.L.L Method.
P.I.L.L Method. Thank you so much for that. I apologize.
And that's no problem. Listen, anytime you have a question, jump in. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, what was that?
Thank you.
You want a link in the chat, Don?
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. Yeah, we can put the link in the chat, okay? And that will help people who want to see what's going on. So, folks, let me get back into this thing. Credit Goddess, did you have any comments that you wanted to make today? All right.
I'm going in and
no.
out.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Richard.
No,
No.
I'm getting the red speak, but go ahead.
Okay. So from the title, real estate investors, I says focus on the interest cost, not the interest rate. I agree with that, and I hope the explanation that Don has given you helped you understand why we should focus on the interest cost and not the interest rate. The interest rate is just the standard fee of borrowing the money, like he liked to say. You're renting the money. You're renting the money on a month-to-month basis. And so you need to focus on the interest cost, which is over time. Once you do the math, then you'll see that the interest cost outweighs the idea of what we all feel about the interest rate, because it's the interest cost that trumps over everything, and how much we're going to pay just borrowing the money. So I agree with you on that. Is focusing on the interest cost, not the interest rate. And I don't know if you broke it down to them, Don, the difference between a lower interest rate and a higher interest rate, and how a higher interest rate you can save on interest costs. Or I would say, well, what is it? We can save on interest costs over time, or
Definitely.
is it much easier to pay off the debt with a higher interest rate?
Both.
Yeah.
It's easier
Both,
and
yeah.
can be less costly if you are applying interest cancellation techniques.
Yeah, you should show them that.
Thank you very much for reminding me. I'd be glad to. All right, folks, we're going to jump back in this thing. So here's what we found out. Here's what we just found out. If I make, let's call this January, I make my January payment on this mortgage. I make my February principal payment of $350.17 early in January as well. I don't have to pay $1,700. $1,748.26 in interest. I don't have to pay that. I just eliminated one line from the amortization schedule for only $350. Wow, wow, wow. Okay. And I'm on line 3 of my schedule. Look at that. Look at that. I need you to see what the percentages are. Remember when I told you that if you are if you're paying your mortgage like this or purchasing anything like this, too high of a percentage of your money is going to interest. Let me show you what happens when you turn it around. It is even more amazing when you turn it around to work for you. Remember, when you borrow money, this is a real thing. When you borrow money, you're supposed to pay back for the use of that money. You're supposed to pay back something in interest for the use of that money. And here's how most of us do it. For $350,000 at 6%, the bank wants $405,000 in interest paid on that. Okay, that's a total payback of $755,000. That's what they want. But what if you don't have to pay all of that to get this equity? So they bought your equity, $350,000 worth. They bought your equity, and you're purchasing it back at little amounts at a time, but you're paying huge amounts in interest to purchase that equity back. So if I do this, take my $1,700, if I prepay this $350, that's $1,748.26 in interest savings right now. Somebody says, well, it's not till you pay off the loan. Because it's real money, folks. I need everybody to think about this right now. If I do it the bank's way, you tell me, if I give them their mortgage money, if I make that mortgage payment, do I pay $1,750 to pay down $348.43? The answer is yes. If I give them this payment on time to pay my loan down by $350.17, do I have to pay them $1,748.26 to do that? The answer is yes. That's money I have to pay out. So if I make my mortgage payment here in January and I give them the principal payment early, $350.17 early in January as well, I'm paid down to line 2 in January. And my next mortgage payment is actually on line 3 of the schedule. So I got this $350 in equity, but I got it for free. I didn't have to pay $1,748.26 to get it. So is that money I actually saved right now, or I only save it at the end? Because if I can pay it right now, and if I don't have to pay it right now, that means I didn't have to pay it. That means I saved it right now. I got this $350 in principal or equity for free. Let's see what the return on investment is. Because a penny saved is a penny earned. That's money I actually saved. A penny saved is a penny earned. So if I save, let's bring up our calculator, $1,748.26, and divide it by what I invest early in this mortgage, $350.17, divided by $350.17. 4.99, or move the decimal place 2 places. That's a 499% return on your money. I need somebody anywhere to tell me how they can get 499% return on their money anywhere else. Somebody help me. Okay. I got Kirk the Bank Barnes in here. Kirk, how you doing this morning? Where did Kirk? There
Hey, Don.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, doing well. I'm here listening to you.
All right, man. Listen, I appreciate it. All right, so listen, if you can get this, folks, if you can get this, this is huge. All right, I'm teaching you the basics here. We've gone over why should we be satisfied. I don't care how much cash flow we have with the money that the bank has given us. with if you're a real estate investor, with the money that your tenants are giving you, can you justify at all at any time giving away 80 cents of that money every single month and only keeping 17 cents of that money or 20 cents of that money to pay down the property that you own? I can't justify it anymore. And I'm not going to give up till every real estate investor that finds this uncomfortable, that they get to hear it and say, now I get it. And now I know why I was uncomfortable. Now I know why it didn't feel right. Now somebody is out there actually advocating for us who want a better way. If you're like I said before, if you're satisfied with what you're doing, I am not talking to you. I'm only talking to people who are not satisfied with the way the status quo. They're not satisfied with how we've been conditioned. They're not satisfied with not being taught how loans actually work, but we are encouraged to use them each and every day. It's time out for that, folks. We need to become educated consumers, those of us who look at this situation and say, you know what? Something is wrong. I don't know exactly what it is, but something is wrong. Do I have any questions or any comments right now on the stage? All right.
Yes, question. So do you take the how did you calculate the 350? And then do we take that and pay it on the first of the month with the payment, in the middle of the month, to wait, or how, or when, I should say,
okay,
that payment in order to get that benefit?
So now you're talking about when is the optimum time to pay? Is that what you mean? The best time to pay?
That's correct.
All right.
That's correct.
So that is a different calculation, Dwayne. That is a calculation that says how much is the right amount to pay and the right month to pay it in, the day of the month to pay it on, and which loan should we attack, especially if you have more than one. That's where my program comes in. If the short answer to your question is, I don't know.
Got you.
Okay. So let me, I take it that you can see this now? The numbers on the screen? Okay. So now here's a great example of that, Dwayne. So you know I'm not just blowing smoke. Okay. So if we can prepay the 350 and save the 1748, I need you to take a look at line 12 on this amortization schedule. 4,000, look at cumulative principal, $4,298.07. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay. The bank wants you to pay that in 12 monthly installments, about $348 to $368 a month. Okay. Do you have to pay it in 12 monthly installments?
No.
If you had it, could you pay it all at one time?
Yeah.
If you can. So that means if I gave this bank the $4,298.07 to pay down the principal, I'd be paid down to line 12 in 1 month, correct?
Mm-hmm.
How about that? What would happen to all the interest payments between line 2 and line 12? All these $1,700 payments, what would happen to them?
They'd disappear.
They would disappear. So now you're paying down to here, and it wouldn't cost you $20,883 to get this much equity. It would only cost you $1,700 to get the same amount of equity and to be paid down to here. Okay. And now, if we're paid down to here in this month, now we use our little calculator here. Okay. We bring up our calculator. Uh-oh, I got rid of it. Hold on. Bring up our calculator and say, now, if I pay down to here in 1 month where I owe only $345,701.93, so we take our 6% divided by 12, we get our 0.0005. Now, we didn't get to multiply because we paid the $42.98 on line 1. So we didn't get to multiply this by this number or the 348. We didn't get to by any of these numbers. We only multiply it by this one number. For our second payment, $345,701.93 multiply by 345,701.93 equals $1,728.51. That is the interest payment here. So what we just found out, Dwayne, if we give this money to the bank on line 1, our second payment is on line 13 of this mortgage, and we get to skip out on $20,000 in interest we never have to pay.
Wow. Thank you, sir.
You're so welcome, sir.
Where were you when I had my mortgage?
Who is this?
Stacy.
Stacy.
Oh my God.
Stacy, listen, I just wish we had I wish we had been around when you had your mortgage too. You know, but it takes time to get this information out. So are you a real estate investor?
I am a potential real estate investor. I'm working on it now.
Okay. So let me tell you, you've paid a lot of interest over your lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
How would you like to get every cent of the money back that the bank took advantage of you because you didn't know? How would you like to get every cent of that back and more?
I'd love to get every cent of it back.
Come on,
please.
let me show you how we're going to do that in the final phases of this. If everybody wants to know how to get all their money back that they've ever paid in interest, all right? You can raise your hand, come to the stage, ask questions about it, or put a number 7 in the chat. Put a number 7 in the chat or online. You want to know how to get every single penny back that you've ever paid in interest from the banks. I'm going to show you how to do it in just a few minutes. Oh my goodness. Here come the number 7s. Here come the number 7s. All right, folks, I'm bringing something over here that you need to see. All right. And we're going to put this on here. This is just one of my, let me see here. Okay. This one is phenomenal. This is just, all right. I see you guys online. Ian Pedley says number 7. Grisha Baptiste says number 7. Horace Jenny says, show us, Don. He puts in number 7. Eric Toombs says number 7. All right, Eric, why aren't you up on the stage with me? Come on. Why aren't you up here? All right, Eric. Well, let me find you in here. All right, Eric, why aren't you on the stage with me? Invite to speak. You don't have to say anything. Just come on up. All right. Hang out with us. All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. All right. So here we go, folks. Here's what we're doing. I need you to see this and understand this from what it is. Stop giving away 80% of your money. All right. And see how you can save money on the back end. Watch this. This is a mortgage of only $89,000. Let me I think I need to make these numbers just a little bit bigger. Okay. We got a mortgage of $89,000. Ooh, that's too big. Okay. $89,000. We have $27,459 in other loans and a couple of credit cards, $6,000. We have only $123,000. Okay. $123,000. Now, by what we're doing, the bank wants, here's what the bank wants in interest. $45,000 in interest. That's what the bank wants. But by using our interest cancellation techniques, this particular home buyer is only going to pay out $12,826 in interest. That's a $32,000 savings. That is 17 years cut off. If they take the money that they're no longer giving to the bank, the interest savings that we've calculated here, okay? Because if they had paid the interest, they can't also invest that interest, correct? So now they didn't pay it, and now we're looking at the monies that they don't have to pay towards these loans for the next 17.7 years. And at a 1% interest return on their money, and you can get that practically anywhere, a 1% return on your money, over the next 17.7 years becomes $672,039 when you let compound interest take over and work for you. That's just a 1% return on their money. Most people over their lifetimes pay between $300,000 and $400,000 in interest. They're getting that money. They got that money back and more in just that little bit of time. Now, there's a better way of doing this, but I'm just showing you some of the basics. Let me show you another one. Here is a real estate investor that I'm working with $2 million worth of loans. And I'm going to break this down even farther so that you can see what is actually happening with this loan. Okay. These are 2 loans that this particular real estate investor has, totaling $2,236,000. $2,236,000. On this property, he's cash flowing over $57,000 a month, $57,800 a month. That's how much money he's bringing in rents. Whew. You know what his mortgage payments are? $14,696. That's it. $14,696. Bringing in $57,000 and only paying out $14,696. This $36,686 every month, he's reinvesting that money into other things. That's all the money he's bringing in each month, but he's taking that other money and investing it in other things, which leaves only about $6,500 to put into an account so that he can have money for repairs and maintenance. Most of this money is being used to invest. The rest of this money is going into a fund so that he can do repairs and maintenance. He has over $100,000 in that fund. Now, I'm going to show you the end result. Then I'm going to show you how easy it is to get to that result. Okay. So here's how much interest the bank wants on these 2 loans. This is crazy, ridiculous. Now, remember, oh man, I just got to do the math here. I got to do the math. 57,880 coming in minus 14,696 in mortgage payments. That's 43 grand every month. 43 grand every month. And what real estate investors are saying, Don, you need to focus on the 43 grand every month because the tenants are paying the mortgage. The tenants are paying the mortgage. The tenants are paying the mortgage. That's what we've been told. Okay. But when I let the tenants pay the mortgage and I just focus on the 43,000, what it's going to cost me is by just making the minimum payments on the loan, the bank wants to take out of the money that my tenants gave me, the bank wants to take $1,123,195 of that, $1 million in interest to get $2 million of property, buying the equity back. I'm going to buy $2 million worth of equity, but the bank wants me to pay $1,125,000 in interest to get that equity. I think that's too much money. The real estate investor thought that was too much money. But when we told them that how to pay only $231,000 of that, how to only pay $231,000 in interest to get the same property instead of $1 million, that's $891,000 in interest. Take that money over 17 years and turn it into $9,314,909. Listen, this is more money made using interest than he ever paid in interest. $9 million right here just on these 2 properties. Now, let's break down. Does this make sense, folks? Does this make sense? Let's break down how he's actually able to get this. So I'm going to pull up some notes here on this. Hold on. I got to get the right numbers for you because I got the right numbers on one of the loans. So let me get the numbers. All right. One of the loans is a 5% loan. All right. One of the loans is a 5% loan. All right. And we're going to duplicate the tab. One of the loans is a 5% loan. Put this over here. And we're going to take out the principal payment. The interest rate is 5%. Oops. Interest rate is 5%. It's a 300-month loan or 25-year loan. Okay, 300 months. And the payment is $8,704. Okay, on just this one loan. $8,704. Okay. And now I can see what my original principal was. 1,400,000. Let's break it down so you can see it like this. 1,488,906. That was one of the loans. That's the original loan. All right. So now remember, this real estate investor has over $100,000 in the bank, just sitting there waiting for something to go wrong so he can fix it on his buildings. He has several buildings. I'm just showing you two of them. Okay. So now let's take a look at this. Rachel, what are you doing down there? Boy, oh boy, these folks, they're not on their job. How you doing, Rachel? Come on up if you can. And let me see, check over the audience. Anybody else who wants to come up to the stage, please do. All right. So here's what we're looking at. On this one loan, the bank wants a total of $1,122,000 just on this one loan. Let me show you how easy it is not to give the bank all this money. Now, our program is going to tell you exactly how much to pay and when to pay it. This is just an example so you can see what we're talking about. Okay, this is just an example. Remember, when you pay the first payment, $2,500 of that money goes to principal, $6,000 of that money goes to interest. That's a lot of money. In the first year, $30,699.86 goes to principal, $73,000 goes to interest. Why didn't the real estate investor, before he talked to the P.I.L.L method, why did the real estate investor not really worry about this? Because remember, he was cash flowing over $43,000 a month. He wasn't looking at the fact that the tenants were really paying the rent. There was something in the back of his mind that didn't feel quite right. But when he read my book, he reached out to me and says, how can I save interest? So I showed him this one example, and it was all over. I said, when he told me what was going on, he says, he's got $100,000 in the bank. I said, now, that money in the bank is making about what? 1/10 of 1%? Yeah, not very much money at all, but he didn't really worry about it because he makes so much money elsewhere. So if you're going to pay $30,699.86 in 1 year anyway, do you have to pay it in 12 monthly installments? He says, no. I said, since you have that $100,000 there, could you borrow about $30,000 of that money from yourself, from your own savings account, and apply it to the principal on this loan? Could you do that? He says, yeah, I could do that. If you did do that, would you be paid down to line 12 in 1 month? He said, yes. What would happen to all the interest payments between line 2 and line 12? They would be canceled. So instead of costing you $73,000 in interest to give the bank this much money, it only cost you $6,203.78, the interest on line 1? Yep. Is that a $67,661 savings in interest that you never have to pay? You just got $30,000 in equity practically for free, only spending 6,000 of your dollars instead of 73,000 of your dollars. Do you see what we're talking about here, folks? Do you see it now?
Oh my God. I have to ask you, can you just pay it at one time, or do you have to pay it on certain days?
Well, if you have our program tells you when to pay. Just like, like when you have GPS, if you plug all the numbers if you plug everything into your GPS where you're going, does your GPS tell you when to turn and when to get off at the exit and all of that kind of stuff? Mm-hmm. Our program does the same thing. That's the last thing I'm going to bring up is our program that actually does all of this. You have any other questions, Miss Stacy? I'll take all the questions you have.
I'm speechless. I want to tell you.
Yes, ma'am.
I was a finance major, and I worked for a couple of mortgage companies over my lifetime. And I used to figure out, principal interest. I had to find all of that out, figure all of that out on a regular basis. But I never. I knew that you could pay the principal down, but I didn't know that by paying the principal down, I just thought it would get you closer to your goal, like, ending those 30 years at a shorter time. I didn't know that it would eliminate the interest payments that were due. I thought I would just be able to pay the house off or the property off faster, but I didn't know it eliminated the interest payments in between.
Yes, ma'am.
That's why I'm just like, my mind is blown right now. Like, what didn't I get? I mean, like, I did this on a regular basis. And that's why I guess when you say mortgage professionals don't even know this, some people, the banks don't even understand this. They're just selling you the loans.
Exactly. They're taught to sell you the loans. The people who own the bank understand it very well because they see how much money they're making.
Of course. And I always knew that whatever you bought your house at, you were paying double and sometimes triple back to the bank over 30 years. But people are like, oh, well, that's just what it is. Yep. No, it's not.
No, it is not. Listen, and you don't have to do it. So, but when you get used to doing something and everybody else is doing it, then we don't look any deeper. But here's what I do know. Here's what I do know for a fact, Miss Stacy. And you'll get this question. I'll get this question right every single time. If I made this first payment on this loan, and let's say we won the lottery and paid off the rest of the loan the next month, everything else just paid off in one payment, what would happen to all these interest payments if I paid off?
Nope. If you have no prepayment penalty, it's gone.
It's gone, right?
Right.
So if we know that to be true, if we can get rid of all of them, then we can get rid of some of them in increments. But we just didn't know when you prepay how to calculate your savings. Once you know that a small amount of money can kill a ton of interest, oh my goodness. Oh, wow. Okay. So now here's where we are with this, Miss Stacy. He said he realized that he could take this 30 grand and save him this $67,000 in interest, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. So, but he didn't want to keep using his reserve money. So I said, well, stop. Just make your minimum payment. And then I said, based on the fact that you're putting in about $6,000 every single month into this account, how long will it take you to put your $30,000 back? And how long would it take you to get your $30,000 back at $6,000 a month? How much? How long, Miss Stacy?
Are you asking me the question?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Repeat that again.
Okay. He wants to put it. He says, I don't want to keep using my money this way. He says, but if I do, I understand this savings. And then I said, well, why don't you just wait and put the money back? You put the $30,000 back. You're putting $6,000 a month into this account. How long would it take you at $6,000 a month to get $30,000 back into your savings account?
About 5 months.
About 5 months. And then I said, Miss Stacy, in 5 months, you'll have 100 grand again, right?
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right?
Oh, Lord.
Could he do it again?
Yes.
And knock off another year and another 70 grand in interest?
Another 70 something grand. And yeah.
And then could he wait 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months and do it again?
Yes.
That's what we're talking about, folks. That's the basic structure. The program tells you when to pay, how long to wait, and when to put money on debt again. Listen, Miss Grisha Baptiste is saying, she's on YouTube. She's saying, I have listened to your program several times. I learned something new every time. Folks, it takes several times to get this. We learn how to get the credit. We just need to learn how to pay it back more efficiently because the bank system is very inefficient. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Anybody?
So Don, let me ask you.
Please go right ahead.
So if the bank knows this and they know people know this, are they going to try to change the mortgage system around, or is it just too much to change it around? They're just counting that. They say, well, just a few people know it and that's it. More people don't know than people that do know.
All right, let's do a little bit of an experiment here. All right, let me do a little bit of experiment here. I guess I don't have it on this computer. I was going to ask Chat GPT. How many mortgages are there just in the United States alone? You know, and I'm going to come back with that number. All right. So let me see if I can see Open AI. Let's see if I can get into my account here on this computer. Verify that I'm a human. I don't want to sign up. I want to log in. I'm just going to ask a question. Maybe chat knows. All right. And so we're going to ask this question. All right. No, I don't need all that. Next. All right. Done. All right. Good. All right. So I'm into my system here. All right. Based on current data, how many mortgages in the United States? Okay, boom. Let's see. I'm sorry, as an AI language model, I don't have access to real-time data. Okay. All right. Let me ask it a different way. Based on the data you do have, how many? You gotta learn how to prompt this thing. All right, it says here, as mentioned, my knowledge cutoff is of 2021. So the most recent data available to me is from that year, according to the Mortgage Association. There are about 37.8 million outstanding mortgages as of 2021. The reason why this will not be a problem for them is because out of 37.8 million in 2021, we're barely scratching the surface, Miss Stacy. They're not going to change it. But do you know I've been doing this? I have been doing this for 17 years. I've been doing this for 17 years. You Google P.I.L.L method right now. P.I.L.L method is more popular than birth control. Birth control is on page 2. But even with that, we're still barely scratching the surface. So if my great grandchildren were still were taking over this business, we'd still be scratching the surface. because most people are satisfied with what they're doing. Most people keep doing what they've been doing. There are only a few out of that want to do something different. So the banks don't care. In fact, it's written into the contract that it's okay to prepay your mortgage. Yep. So just a little information there for us. Okay. Any other questions, Miss Stacy?
No, no, I'm just wowed over here.
All right, folks. Listen, I'm over time, but I just wanted to say that to you guys. Thank you so much for being here today. I get so excited. I was supposed to cut off way before now, but I want to thank everyone for being here. Thank you all the moderators for being here. We're going to say goodbye to everybody online and just go straight to the outro, and also thank our producer, Kurt Nugent, for being here and staying so faithful. Goodbye, everybody online. I'll see you on Wednesday.